plan. Really bad drawing. I'm gonna use two different patterns. Yeah, I'm gonna use two different patterns. It's gonna be like a bralette top, and then it's gonna be a full circle skirt with a ruff on the bottom. Fingers crossed. My plan is to hopefully have a zipper in the back to hold it up, so that I don't have to think about it. You're gonna need rulers. Rulers are important. Tape measure. Because we're gonna alter some of these patterns. I like altering patterns, then I don't have to buy new ones. Pins. Fabric marker. Highlighter. Thread. Fabric of your choice. I think you're going to need more than 2 yards if you're going to do that. And you're going to need scissors. And of course the patterns you're going to be using. I am going to be using McCall M7654. I'm going to do the circle skirt. And I love using this for the circle skirt. It's fantastic. Okay. I researched my size using the wonderful thing. And it says that I want to do a 65 band. And then I'm pretty sure it says a cup. And so what I'm going to do is, you know, for beginners, but sometimes when I'm confused or like it uses different sizes than I used to, I'll just highlight the lines that I need to cut. I am pinning and cutting the skirt first so I can see how much I have left for the bottom ruffle that I want to do. If I can do 1.5 or if I have to do a 1.25, double the width length thing. I'm going to show you how I'm going to quickly adjust, because rather than this being at my waist, it's going to be closer to my bust. And so I'm going to make a little wider, so my waist and my bust are different in size. So all around, measuring this twice on not only the back part, but also the front part, I have 28 inches all around. 28 inches, and I am a 30 band. So I'm going to add 4 inches, give or take, just to help me, or at least I'm going to try. But something super easy, all I need to really do is inch down for all of it, and it gives me more than enough room that I need. And that's just how I'm going to alter it for the skirts, at least for right now. Okay, I'm going to show you how I've adjusted it. So I just make marks first about where my pattern ends. Dun, 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 dun. Get the pins away from there. Look at my markings, and it's literally just inch down all the way. Boom, boom, boom. And then I redraw my line. Boom. This is the new line that I'm cutting. As simple as that. Now I'm just trying to be a little sneaky with my fabric. I am going to use my scraps as much as I can. And so far I'm looking pretty good on the ties. But I could also do a cup or two. I just want to make sure I have enough fabric for what I want to do with the ruffle. So I'm just trying to be cautious of what I have and what I need. So yeah. I got so lucky. These are my extra scraps after I cut the ties. I already have one, and then I'll get a second one out of this as well. And that is half of what I need. I'm so excited. I don't have to waste more fabric. Come on. and then this way, and then go that way. Okay, so as I was sewing it, trying it on, and putting it on the dress form, I realized that my fabric is thin, and that I'm gonna need a lining. So I already sewed the skirt together. So what I'm going to do to make up for it is I'm going to copy and trace. So I'm gonna, because this is not the same as my pattern piece, at least right here, I am going to extend maybe like an inch. Going, make sure it's there. Definitely need a new pen. Other side. Trace again. And then right there. There we go. Okay, except if you can see right over here, it goes off the fabric. So I'm going to shorten it 2 inches. And this is erasable, so it erases with air. So I'm going to just line it over. Draw where it is. I know, pretty chaotic. Nothing really to it. And then I'm going to make a line down. And then I'm going to take this line and measure 2 inches up and then all the way around. Might not go. I'm kind of happy. 20 minutes. What else to say? I'm just going around and doing this line and have a little. I'll make it for your basic later. Okay, so math is complicated. What I'm going to do. So I have enough to do a 4-inch ruffle and have plenty of leftover for whatever I need. So here's how it's going to work. My hem of my circle skirt is 154 inches total. And so I want to get to 1.5 times that, which is going to be 231. I simply did that by dividing 154 in half, getting 77, and adding that, and it takes me to 231. So I'm just going to round up to 235. And I have enough from one end to the other end. I have enough to do 55 inches. So that means I need to do 4.5 rows of 4-inch rectangles, which I will then sew together so I can create this ruffle. It is lots of work, but I can do it. Some will say you should just make sure it's all even first, so this is why you have a sheet. I say that's pretty even. I'm going to use that as my guide, and I am just going to do 4.5, sorry, yeah, 1, 2, 3, 4.5, all the way down. And then I'm gonna sew all of them together. It's gonna take a very long time, so I'm really gonna show you how I'm gonna do it at the beginning. This part, I'm not gonna need this part. I am not even gonna sew over it. So I am going to use that as my starting point. You can use a tape measure, which will actually take longer. I think about it. Instead, I will use a regular ruler. 4 inches. 4 inches. And then I'll mark it. I'm gonna use chalk this time. 4 inches. As simple as that. And I'm gonna mark 4 inches all the way down. All the way down. This is gonna take a while. Oops. I do it so it's close enough where I don't need in between. I just work it because we're the next semester. And then I'm going to use that line base for my next line and go from there. You're excused. You can also use this one. Make sure I leave them. Sweet. And out. I am going to make another alteration. I'm actually going to cut this in half. I don't need it so wide. And then I'm going to cut 4 of these, and then I only need 2 more of this in my fabric, and then I'm going to cut 4 in the lining, and then I'll be done cutting. Okay, I finished cutting out all my pieces. Now I'm going to match up all of my layers. I just decided to do 5. I thought it would be easier in the long run. Put off the ends, and then I'm going to pin them together, right sides together, and then I am going to sew all the way down, and then I'm going to start actually sewing my pieces together. I like to get the easy stuff out of the way.
One side, one side. These are the ties. Fold over and turn inside out.
Pinned everything that I could together so far. So I've pinned the skirt together, I've pinned my ruffles together, and I have pinned my straps together, and then I've pinned my cups together, and then I'm going to sew all of that, and then I will start putting more pieces together. I'm going to try to finish the bodice first, and then move on to the skirt. So I pinned these side pieces to the, I guess you can consider it the waistband. I'm going to sew, ouch. I'm going to sew these on to this one side, and then I am going to attach the cups. And how you do that is you fold it in half, find your center point, and then you put it on the center. I think I'm going to overlap mine just because mine is just a little bit bigger than the band. And then I am going to, I created a lining because, as you know, I altered the waistband. So I created a lining, and I'm going to put that on top, sew it around, but I'm not going to sew the bottom edge, the one that connects to the skirt. And then I will sew the skirt to it, and then it'll be closed up that way. Okay, so I don't know if my last thing recorded. So I had basted it, I had let it laid over, basted it, see, and then I tried it on. I wanted to see how it fit. If it's okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to take it apart, right? That's what a basting stitch for. I have these cups that I got from a sports bra. I just keep them because whatever, knew I would eventually add them to a project. So I'm actually going to attach it to the lining here. So after I unbaste, I'm going to put to the lining. I'm going to essentially sew down that line I already have, and then so it'll stay. And then I am going to, because I tried it on, I'm going to move them together a little closer. So I think maybe like that much closer. And then I'm going to try it on again. And then if that works, I'm going to do a small stitch right here. Probably just gonna hand sew that really quick. And then I am going to do an official stitch all the way down. And then I am going to add my lining fabric to this as well. Okay, so this is my top. I'm almost done with it. I tried it on multiple times. I finally have it where I want it. I'm going to sew this lining layer on top, so all the way through. You know, I've placed cups in it. I am going to sew it with the lining, flip it over, sew the lining to the sides. I'm going to add a temporary stitch, and then the top is done completely. And then I just have to add the skirt to it. So let's go. Okay, so now I am going to do gathering stitches. They suggest you do 2 lines parallel to each other. I'm going to do one for now, and I'm going to do it all the way through the top of the skirt. And I am going to increase my stitch length from 2.5 to 5. And then I am going to, no back stitching whatsoever, just cleanly go through. And then I'm going to gather it, and then I'm going to figure out where on my bodice it looks the best at. Okay, so I've gathered both my top skirt and then my lining skirt. I have tried to leave a little bit out on the previous skirt, like the inner and outer skirt, both the skirt pieces, so that I will have room to do the zipper, because the outfit does not, the dress does not have like a complete back, has a partially open back. And I want to try not to get the ties in there. So I am taking the bodice piece. I've pinned pretty side to pretty side, and now I am just pinning the lining layer just on top of that, over that, so that I can put it all together and, you know, makes it look nice. And I don't have to worry about it. And then after I pin everything, I am going to baste it. And then I'm going to, let's see, after I baste it, I'm going to try it on. And then I will adjust the fit as needed. And then I will sew it with a more permanent stitch. Okay, so now I'm going to attach my zipper. So I folded it over just a little bit, and then I'm going to sew all the way, not all the way down, but most of the way down, maybe till right here at the end of my zipper. And I'm going to do that for both sides, and then I'm going to show you how I attach my lining. And then I'll be able to turn it. The zipper will be facing inside, and then I can fold my lining inwards, and then just sew it down again. My zipper is installed. I'm going to sew my skirt closed, both the top and the lining. So I'm going to do the same thing as I did earlier. I'm going to do a super long stitch, and then I'm going to gather it, and then I'm going to attach it to the very, very bottom of my skirt. And then I'll be done.